Hello, everyone, and welcome back. I'm so grateful you have joined me today, and I can't wait to dive into something that has the power to change your life. There is one thing that will determine whether you rise to greatness or fall into mediocrity: your associations. The people in your life are either lifting you up or dragging you down. The right woman in your life can be a force of divine favor, a pillar of strength, a partner in destiny. But the wrong woman, she can be the greatest curse, the greatest distraction, the greatest mistake. A man cannot fulfill his purpose while entangled with the wrong company. Some relationships are a weight, not a wing. Some people are assignments, not life partners. And some women, listen to me, some women must be cut off. The woman who manipulates, she does not love you, she controls you. She twists your emotions, plays with your mind, and makes you feel guilty for being who you are. A man called to lead cannot afford to be enslaved by emotions. Love is freedom, not captivity. The woman who is only after what you can provide, she does not see you, she sees your resources. And when the resources dry up, so does her affection. A true partner invests in your future, not just in your pockets. A woman who only sees wealth is blind to vision. And a woman blind to vision is a liability to destiny. The woman who gossips, do not underestimate the power of words. A woman who spreads rumors and thrives on drama will bring chaos into your life. Where there is no peace, there is no progress. If she cannot honor the reputation of others, she will not honor yours. The woman without ambition, listen to me, a stagnant woman will produce a stagnant household. A woman with no dreams will resent yours. A man who desires greatness must walk with a woman who understands it. The woman who dishonors leadership, if she cannot respect, she cannot build. A woman who rebels against wisdom and order will turn your home into a battleground. A house divided cannot stand. Peace is non-negotiable. The woman without spiritual grounding, if she has no connection to faith, she has no foundation. A woman without principles is dangerous, for she will justify anything. Without wisdom, she will lead you into destruction. And lastly, the woman who is insecure and possessive, when a woman does not understand her worth, she will seek to control yours. Jealousy is a prison, and a man in chains cannot build an empire. You were created for a purpose greater than yourself. Your destiny is too important to be sabotaged by the wrong partnership. So hear me. If you recognize these traits, do not negotiate, do not rationalize, do not delay. Cut them off immediately. Because the wrong woman is not just a distraction, she is a destiny destroyer. And you, my friend, were born to build, not to be broken. She never asks, she orchestrates. She never suggests, she dictates. The manipulative woman does not love, she controls. Her affection is not genuine. It is a tool she wields to bend you to her will. Every word she speaks is calculated. Every tear she sheds is strategic. And every embrace she offers is conditional. She does not seek to walk beside you. She seeks to dominate you, even if it means destroying you in the process. At first, she appears nurturing, attentive, even deeply invested in your well-being. But beneath the surface, she is weaving a web of emotional dependency. She learns your weaknesses, your fears, and your insecurities, not to heal them, but to weaponize them. One moment she showers you with affection, making you feel like the most important man in the world. The next, she withdraws, creating a void that only she can fill. She makes you question yourself, doubt your decisions, and eventually surrender your power. Her greatest weapon is guilt. She twists every situation to make herself the victim, making you feel responsible for her unhappiness. You will find yourself apologizing for things you never did, making compromises that go against your principles, and losing sight of your purpose just to keep her satisfied. The more you give, the more she demands, and no matter how much you try, it is never enough. She isolates you from those who can see through her deception. Friends who warn you become enemies in her eyes. Family members who question her motives are labeled as threats. She convinces you that without her you are nothing. And when she finally has complete control, she no longer needs to pretend. By then, you are no longer the man you once were, only a shadow of the leader you were meant to be. She does not see the man, she sees the lifestyle. Her interest is not in your character, your vision, or your values. It is in your assets, your status, and the security you can provide. Her love is not unconditional, it is transactional. Every moment she spends with you is an investment, and the return she expects is wealth, comfort, and luxury. She does not build with you, she takes from you. At first, she appears fascinated by your ambitions, supportive of your goals, and deeply drawn to your success. She knows how to make you feel like a king, but not because she believes in your leadership, because she wants a share of your kingdom. Her admiration is an illusion, a carefully crafted act designed to keep you opening doors, pulling out chairs, and signing checks. She measures your worth not by your wisdom or integrity, but by the weight of your wallet. She does not care how hard you worked to build your empire, only how much she can extract from it. She does not ask about your struggles, only about your possessions. She does not stand beside you in difficult times. When the well dries up, she disappears. She was never there for you. She was there for what you could provide. She has no sense of loyalty, only convenience. Her affection is available to the highest bidder. If another man comes along with a better offer, she will not hesitate to leave. You will never be enough because she is not looking for a man, she is looking for a source. She drains, she demands, and she deceives. And when you are empty, she moves on to the next opportunity, leaving nothing but regret behind. At first, she seems entertaining, full of stories and insights. She always knows the latest news, the hidden scandals, the private details of other people's lives. She presents herself as someone well-connected, someone with valuable information. But what seems like harmless conversation is a pattern of destruction. She does not spread wisdom, she spreads strife. She is dangerous because she does not only gossip about others, she will gossip about you. The same lips that praise you today will betray you tomorrow. If she shares everyone else's business, what makes you think your business is safe? She will twist your words, expose your weaknesses, and turn your allies into enemies. She creates division between friends, families, and even within your own heart. She will make you doubt people who love you, question those who support you, and distance yourself from those who truly have your best interests at heart. She does not seek unity, she thrives in chaos. And the longer you allow her in your life, the more destruction she will bring, one word at a time. She lacks drive, she lacks purpose, and she lacks the mindset of a builder. She does not push you forward, she holds you back. She is comfortable with mediocrity, content with stagnation, and uninterested in growth. She does not dream, she does not plan, and she does not pursue anything greater than what is placed in front of her. She is not a partner in progress, she is a weight on your destiny. At first, it may seem harmless. She appears easygoing without many demands or expectations. She does not challenge you, she does not push you, and she does not inspire you to reach higher. But a woman without vision cannot walk with a man of purpose. The moment you start talking about your goals, she tunes out. The moment you seek wisdom, she dismisses it. The moment you try to grow, she resists, because growth requires movement. And movement disrupts her comfort. She has no hunger for excellence, no desire for impact, no passion for something greater. She does only what is required to get by, never more. She is quick to complain, but slow to act. She sees obstacles in every opportunity and excuses in every challenge. She is content with watching others succeed, never realizing she has the same potential. She will resent your ambition. She will see your drive as pressure, your discipline as unnecessary, and your success as a threat. She will drain your energy, distract your focus, and slow your momentum. A man of vision cannot afford to be tied to a woman without one. A partner who does not contribute to the journey eventually becomes a burden to carry, and no man called to greatness can afford to be weighed down by someone unwilling to walk with him. She does not honor leadership. She resists authority, and she refuses correction. She sees submission as weakness, respect as optional, and wisdom as something to be challenged rather than embraced. She does not seek harmony. She thrives in conflict. A man who aligns himself with a woman who despises order will find himself in a constant battle, not just in his home, but within himself. At first, she may appear strong-willed, independent, and confident. She speaks her mind, refuses to back down, and demands her way in every situation. But what seems like confidence is often rebellion in disguise. She does not respect elders, mentors, or those who carry wisdom. She questions everything, not to gain understanding, but to reject accountability. Her words are sharp. Her tone is dismissive, and her attitude is confrontational. She does not listen to advice, she does not value instruction, and she resists anything that requires discipline or humility. She does not honor the role of a man in leadership. She constantly challenges, belittles, and disrespects, turning every discussion into an argument and every disagreement into a war. She believes submission is slavery rather than partnership, and she refuses to acknowledge any structure that does not revolve around her desires. She will speak against you in public, mock your wisdom in private, and undermine your authority in every decision. Her rebellion will create disorder in your home. Her attitude will disrupt your peace, and her words will weaken your confidence. A man called to lead cannot afford to walk with a woman who refuses to follow. Where there is no respect, there is no unity. And where there is no unity, there is no progress. A divided house will always collapse, no matter how strong its foundation was. She has no foundation beyond what she can see, touch, or feel. She does not seek wisdom. She does not value spiritual truth. And she does not align herself with principles that sustain a life of purpose. She lives according to her emotions, her desires, and the fleeting pleasures of the moment. She has no higher calling, no divine connection, and no moral compass to guide her decisions. A man who walks with a spiritually empty woman will find himself drained, lost, and disconnected from his own destiny. At first, she may seem open-minded, carefree, and independent in her thinking. She does not concern herself with matters of faith, purpose, or deeper meaning. She dismisses spiritual values as unnecessary, outdated, or restrictive. She makes decisions based on personal satisfaction rather than wisdom. What is right depends on what feels good, and what is wrong is whatever challenges her comfort. She does not seek counsel in difficult times. She relies on luck, chance, or human logic. She does not pray, she does not seek divine wisdom, and she does not understand the power of faith. In moments of crisis, she will lead you away from your spiritual grounding rather than closer to it. She will encourage compromise where conviction is required and distraction where discipline is needed. She cannot be a partner in a vision that requires faith because she does not see beyond the physical. She will not support your growth in wisdom because she does not value it. She will not build with you in alignment with higher principles because she does not believe in them. A man rooted in faith cannot walk in agreement with a woman who rejects it. A partnership without spiritual grounding is a house built on sand, unstable, unpredictable, and destined to collapse. She is driven by fear, not love. Her mind is filled with doubt. Her heart is filled with jealousy, and her actions are controlled by insecurity. She does not trust, she does not release, and she does not support. Instead, she clings, she questions, and she suffocates. A man who connects his life to a woman ruled by insecurity will find himself constantly explaining, constantly proving, and constantly defending himself against accusations that have no foundation. She is dangerous because she does not only gossip about others, she will gossip about you. The same lips that praise you today will betray you tomorrow. If she shares everyone else's business, what makes you think your business is safe? She will twist your words, expose your weaknesses, and turn your allies into enemies. She creates division between friends, families, and even within your own heart. She will make you doubt people who love you, question those who support you, and distance yourself from those who truly have your best interests at heart. She does not seek unity, she thrives in chaos. And the longer you allow her in your life, the more destruction she will bring, one word at a time. She lacks drive, she lacks purpose, and she lacks the mindset of a builder. She does not push you forward, she holds you back. She is comfortable with mediocrity, content with stagnation, and uninterested in growth. She does not dream, she does not plan, and she does not pursue anything greater than what is placed in front of her. She is not a partner in progress. She is a weight on your destiny. At first, it may seem harmless. She appears easygoing without many demands or expectations. She does not challenge you. She does not push you, and she does not inspire you to reach higher. But a woman without vision cannot walk with a man of purpose. The moment you start talking about your goals, she tunes out. The moment you seek wisdom, she dismisses it. The moment you try to grow, she resists because growth requires movement, and movement disrupts her comfort. She has no hunger for excellence, no desire for impact, no passion for something greater. She does only what is required to get by, never more. She is quick to complain, but slow to act. She sees obstacles in every opportunity and excuses in every challenge. She is content with watching others succeed, never realizing she has the same potential. She will resent your ambition. She will see your drive as pressure, your discipline as unnecessary, and your success as a threat. She will drain your energy, distract your focus, and slow your momentum. A man of vision cannot afford to be tied to a woman without one. A partner who does not contribute to the journey eventually becomes a burden to carry, and no man called to greatness can afford to be weighed down by someone unwilling to walk with him. She does not honor leadership, she resists authority, and she refuses correction. She sees submission as weakness, respect as optional, and wisdom as something to be challenged rather than embraced. She does not seek harmony, she thrives in conflict. A man who aligns himself with a woman who despises order will find himself in a constant battle, not just in his home, but within himself. At first, she may appear strong-willed, independent, and confident. She speaks her mind, refuses to back down, and demands her way in every situation. But what seems like confidence is often rebellion in disguise. She does not respect elders, mentors, or those who carry wisdom. She questions everything, not to gain understanding, but to reject accountability. Her words are sharp. Her tone is dismissive, and her attitude is confrontational. She does not listen to advice, she does not value instruction, and she resists anything that requires discipline or humility. She does not honor the role of a man in leadership. She constantly challenges, belittles, and disrespects, turning every discussion into an argument and every disagreement into a war. She believes submission is slavery rather than partnership, and she refuses to acknowledge any structure that does not revolve around her desires. She will speak against you in public, mock your wisdom in private, and undermine your authority in every decision. Her rebellion will create disorder in your home. Her attitude will disrupt your peace, and her words will weaken your confidence. A man called to lead cannot afford to walk with a woman who refuses to follow. Where there is no respect, there is no unity. And where there is no unity, there is no progress. A divided house will always collapse, no matter how strong its foundation was. She has no foundation beyond what she can see, touch, or feel. She does not seek wisdom. She does not value spiritual truth. And she does not align herself with principles that sustain a life of purpose. She lives according to her emotions, her desires, and the fleeting pleasures of the moment. She has no higher calling, no divine connection, and no moral compass to guide her decisions. A man who walks with a spiritually empty woman will find himself drained, lost, and disconnected from his own destiny. At first, she may seem open-minded, carefree, and independent in her thinking. She does not concern herself with matters of faith, purpose, or deeper meaning. She dismisses spiritual values as unnecessary, outdated, or restrictive. She makes decisions based on personal satisfaction rather than wisdom. What is right depends on what feels good, and what is wrong is whatever challenges her comfort. She does not seek counsel in difficult times. She relies on luck, chance, or human logic. She does not pray, she does not seek divine wisdom, and she does not understand the power of faith. In moments of crisis, she will lead you away from your spiritual grounding rather than closer to it. She will encourage compromise where conviction is required and distraction where discipline is needed. She cannot be a partner in a vision that requires faith because she does not see beyond the physical. She will not support your growth in wisdom because she does not value it. She will not build with you in alignment with higher principles because she does not believe in them. A man rooted in faith cannot walk in agreement with a woman who rejects it. A partnership without spiritual grounding is a house built on sand, unstable, unpredictable, and destined to collapse. She is driven by fear, not love. Her mind is filled with doubt. Her heart is filled with jealousy, and her actions are controlled by insecurity. She does not trust, she does not release, and she does not support. Instead, she clings, she questions, and she suffocates. A man who connects his life to a woman ruled by insecurity will find himself constantly explaining, constantly proving, and constantly defending himself against accusations that have no foundation. Hello everyone, and welcome back. I am so grateful you have joined me today, and I can't wait to dive into something that has the power to change your life. There is something dangerous happening in our world today. People are making the most important decision of their lives based on the most temporary feeling they have ever known. They say, I'm in love. And with that, they walk blindly into a lifelong covenant. But I want you to hear me today. Love is not a reason to get married. You don't marry a person because your heart races when they walk into the room. You don't marry them because they make you smile or because their touch sends shivers down your spine. Emotions are unstable, unpredictable, and unreliable. One day you feel on top of the world, and the next day you wonder if you made a mistake. Love alone cannot sustain a marriage. If love was enough, there would be no divorces among people who once loved each other. Marriage is not about feelings. It's about assignment. Before God gave Adam a wife, he gave him work, purpose, and identity. He placed him in the garden and gave him a mission. And only when Adam was fully engaged in his purpose did God say, it is not good for man to be alone. This means you don't look for love. You look for purpose. If you are not walking in your assignment, you are not ready for an assistant. You see, the strongest marriages are not built on butterflies in the stomach. They are built on vision, on character, on friendship. Can this person walk with you when the butterflies die? Can they endure the storms of life when emotions dry up? Love may bring you together, but purpose will keep you together. You must choose a life partner, not just a love partner. You must marry someone whose values match yours, whose destiny aligns with yours. You need a partner who sees beyond the wedding day, beyond the romance, and understands that marriage is a lifelong commitment to something greater than feelings. I challenge you today, before you say, I do, ask yourself, is this person a friend first? Do they have the discipline, the integrity, the vision to build with me? Can we walk together when the feelings fade? Because marriage is not about how you feel in the moment. It is about whether you can build a future together. Love will not carry you through, but purpose will. Love is one of the most powerful emotions a person can experience. It can make hearts race, create deep connections, and ignite passion. But as intense as it may feel, love is still an emotion. And emotions are unpredictable. They change with time, circumstances, and experiences. If love alone were enough to sustain a marriage, then no relationship that began with deep love would ever fall apart. Yet, time and time again, people who were madly in love find themselves distant, disconnected, and disillusioned. This happens because love, while essential, was never meant to be the foundation of a lifelong commitment. A foundation must be stable, unshakable, and consistent. It must be strong enough to endure challenges, misunderstandings, and disappointments. Love, in its emotional form, is none of these things. A person can feel deeply in love today and question those same feelings tomorrow. The same love that once made someone feel fulfilled can later make them feel trapped. This is because emotions respond to conditions. When everything is pleasant, love feels effortless. But when pressure comes, financial struggles, disagreements, external temptations, the emotional high begins to fade. Without something deeper holding two people together, the relationship starts to crack. Many people marry based on how they feel rather than what they know. They assume that the intensity of their emotions will carry them through life seasons. But true commitment is never about how one feels in the moment. It is about a decision, a conviction, a shared purpose that remains firm regardless of how emotions fluctuate. Love alone does not provide the wisdom to navigate conflict, the patience to endure imperfections, or the character to honor a commitment when things become difficult. A lasting relationship requires friendship, compatibility, shared values, and a clear understanding of purpose. These are the elements that create stability. When love is tested by hardship, it is these deeper elements that determine whether the relationship will survive. Love should be present, but it should never be the only reason a person chooses to commit their life to another. Before a person seeks a partner, they must first understand their purpose. Purpose defines direction, identity, and assignment in life. It answers the question of why a person exists and what they are meant to accomplish. Without a clear sense of purpose, a relationship can become a distraction rather than a partnership. Too many people enter marriage believing that love is enough to sustain them. But love without purpose leads to confusion, frustration, and eventually regret. A person without purpose is like a traveler without a destination. If they do not know where they are going, how can they expect someone else to walk with them? Partnership in marriage is not just about companionship. It is about building something meaningful together. Two people should not come together simply because they enjoy each other's company, but because their individual purposes align, creating a stronger, clearer vision for their future. Without purpose, marriage can become a place of competition rather than cooperation, where each person pulls in a different direction instead of moving forward together. Before choosing a life partner, a person must first answer key questions. Who am I? What is my calling? What are my values? Where am I going in life? These questions shape decisions and ensure that a relationship is not entered into based on temporary emotions, but on a clear understanding of destiny. When purpose is established first, choosing a partner becomes a matter of alignment rather than mere attraction. A strong partnership is built when both individuals understand their own identity and calling. A person who does not yet know their purpose cannot effectively support someone else's. When a couple comes together with a shared vision, they move in harmony, supporting, strengthening, and complementing each other. Their union is not just about fulfilling emotional needs, but about fulfilling a greater mission. Without purpose, marriage becomes a struggle to find meaning within the relationship rather than using the relationship to enhance a greater purpose. Chemistry is exciting. It creates an instant spark, a magnetic attraction that draws two people together. It makes conversations effortless, moments thrilling, and emotions intense. But chemistry alone is not a measure of a person's ability to sustain a lifelong commitment. Many people mistake physical and emotional attraction for true compatibility. But attraction is temporary, while character determines longevity. A relationship built solely on chemistry will eventually crumble under the weight of reality. Because emotions fluctuate and passion alone cannot sustain a partnership. Character, on the other hand, is the foundation upon which trust, respect, and commitment are built. It is not about how a person makes you feel in the moment, but about who they truly are when emotions settle and challenges arise. Character is revealed in integrity, discipline, patience, kindness, and the ability to handle adversity with wisdom. It determines how a person treats others when no one is watching, and how they respond when things do not go their way. Many relationships fail not because there was a lack of chemistry, but because there was a lack of character. A person may be charming, romantic, and exciting, but if they lack honesty, self-control, or responsibility, the relationship will eventually suffer. When disagreements arise, it is character, not attraction, that determines whether conflicts are resolved with maturity or lead to destruction. A person with strong character remains dependable through the highs and lows of life, while someone driven only by chemistry may withdraw when emotions fade. Lasting relationships are built on values, principles, and shared goals. The strongest marriages are between two individuals who trust each other's judgment, respect each other's boundaries, and uphold the same moral and ethical standards. While chemistry can bring two people together, it is character that keeps them together. Love and attraction may initiate a relationship, but without character, they cannot sustain it. Choosing a partner should never be based solely on the excitement of chemistry, but on the assurance that their character aligns with a shared vision for the future. Commitment is one of the most serious decisions a person can make, and yet many enter it blindly, relying solely on emotions rather than knowledge. Feelings can be deceptive, creating an illusion of compatibility without truly understanding the person behind the affection. Love, no matter how intense, does not reveal everything about a person. It does not expose their habits, values, priorities, or ability to handle responsibility. Without knowledge, commitment becomes a gamble, and many only realize their mistake after they have already made a lifelong promise. Knowledge requires time, observation, and wisdom. It is not enough to know how someone makes you feel. You must know how they think, how they respond to pressure, how they treat others, and what they value most in life. A person may seem kind in moments of peace, but reveal impatience in moments of stress. They may appear generous when things are easy, but become selfish when sacrifices are required. True knowledge comes from watching a person in different seasons of life, not just in moments of romance and comfort. Many relationships fail because people commit based on limited knowledge. They assume love will solve all differences, only to realize later that they have fundamental disagreements on key aspects of life, faith, finances, family, or personal growth. Knowing a person means understanding their principles, their past experiences, and their vision for the future. It means asking the right questions, engaging in deep conversations, and seeking wisdom from trusted sources. Rushing into commitment without knowledge often leads to regret. Attraction and emotions can create a false sense of certainty, making a person overlook red flags or dismiss warning signs. But knowledge allows for informed decisions, ensuring that commitment is made with clarity and confidence rather than impulse and excitement. A relationship built on knowledge is stronger because it is grounded in reality, not just emotions. Taking the time to understand a person fully before committing is not a sign of hesitation. It is a sign of wisdom and maturity. Friendship is the foundation upon which the strongest and most enduring relationships are built. While romance may spark initial attraction, it is friendship that sustains a relationship through the highs and lows of life. Many couples enter marriage fueled by passion, only to realize that passion alone is not enough. Feelings fade, excitement settles, and life introduces challenges that love alone cannot overcome. But when two people are first and foremost friends, they have a connection that remains strong even when emotions fluctuate. A true friend is someone who understands, supports, and accepts you without conditions. In marriage, this kind of friendship creates a safe space where both individuals can be themselves without fear of judgment. It allows for open communication, mutual respect, and deep emotional connection beyond physical attraction. A relationship rooted in friendship fosters patience, forgiveness, and the ability to grow together rather than drift apart when difficulties arise. When love is based purely on emotions, conflicts become battles of ego and pride. But when a couple is built on friendship, they approach disagreements with a desire to understand rather than to win. Friends listen, compromise, and seek solutions instead of attacking each other. They know how to laugh together, support each other's dreams, and find joy in simple moments. This companionship strengthens the relationship beyond the temporary thrill of romance. Friendship also creates longevity in a marriage. Physical attraction may weaken over time, but a deep bond of companionship only grows stronger. The happiest couples are not just lovers, they are best friends who genuinely enjoy each other's company. They find pleasure in conversations, shared interests, and everyday experiences. Even in moments of silence, their connection remains strong because it is rooted in genuine friendship rather than fleeting emotions. A relationship without friendship can feel like an obligation rather than a partnership. Without a foundation of companionship, love becomes fragile and easily shaken by life's uncertainties. But when friendship is at the core, the relationship stands firm, weathering every season with resilience and joy. It is friendship that makes love last, ensuring that even when passion fades, the bond remains unbreakable. Infatuation is powerful. It can make a person feel like they have found their perfect match, blinding them to reality. It is exciting, intense, and often mistaken for love, but it is temporary. Infatuation is based on emotions, attraction, and the thrill of something new, but none of these factors determine long-term success in a relationship. Compatibility, on the other hand, is what allows a relationship to endure beyond the initial excitement. It is not about how passionately two people feel about each other in the moment, but how well their values, lifestyles, and goals align in the long run. Many people enter relationships purely because of infatuation, only to later realize that they are not compatible. Infatuation can create a false sense of closeness, making small differences seem insignificant. However, once the emotional high wears off, those differences become glaring obstacles. Two people who were once deeply drawn to each other can suddenly feel distant when they discover they do not share the same values, ambitions, or vision for the future. Compatibility is not about agreeing on everything, but about having fundamental beliefs, priorities, and life directions that align. A truly compatible relationship is built on more than just physical attraction. It is built on emotional intelligence, shared purpose, and mutual respect. Compatibility means understanding each other's strengths and weaknesses and being able to function as a team. It means knowing how to support one another and resolve conflicts in a healthy way. Without compatibility, love alone will struggle to survive because love needs structure, understanding, and a common vision to thrive. Infatuation can make a relationship feel effortless in the beginning, but real compatibility ensures it remains strong even when effort is required. It allows for growth, adaptability, and resilience. A relationship based solely on infatuation will eventually face disappointment when reality sets in. But a relationship grounded in compatibility will stand firm, even when the initial excitement fades. Choosing a partner should never be based on fleeting emotions, but on the assurance that the relationship is built on a solid foundation that can last a lifetime. Marriage is more than just a romantic connection between two people. It is a life assignment, a commitment to walk together in purpose. Many enter marriage believing it is simply about love, passion, and companionship. But marriage was never meant to be just a love affair. It is a covenant, a partnership designed for a greater purpose beyond emotional satisfaction. When two people come together in marriage, they are not just uniting hearts, they are uniting destinies. A love affair is about emotions, excitement, and pleasure. But marriage is about responsibility, growth, and endurance. Love may bring two people together, but it takes vision, discipline, and shared purpose to keep them together. Marriage requires understanding that it is not about finding someone to make you happy, but about finding someone who can walk with you in fulfilling the assignment you have in life. It is not just about personal satisfaction, but about building something meaningful together, whether that be a family, a legacy, or a shared mission. Many marriages fail because people approach them as an extension of a love story rather than a life commitment. When challenges arise, when emotions fade, or when personal desires shift, those who see marriage as just a love affair often feel unfulfilled and want to leave. But those who understand that marriage is a life assignment approach difficulties differently. They see obstacles as opportunities to grow, to learn, and to strengthen their bond. They are not just committed to each other emotionally, but are committed to the journey they are meant to walk together. Marriage demands patience, sacrifice, and vision. It requires two people to continuously work on themselves, to align their individual goals with a shared purpose, and to see beyond the momentary emotions of love. It is not about how deeply one feels on a given day, but about the lifelong mission they are willing to embrace together. A love affair may be temporary, but a life assignment is enduring. Those who treat marriage as an assignment rather than just an emotional experience build relationships that withstand the test of time, creating something far greater than just romance. Marriage is one of the most significant decisions a person will ever make, and it must be approached with wisdom, not just emotions. Love alone is not enough to sustain a lifelong commitment. Feelings fade, chemistry fluctuates, and infatuation is temporary, but purpose, character, and compatibility create a foundation that endures. Marriage is not just about romance. It is a partnership designed to fulfill a greater purpose. It is not a love affair based on fleeting emotions, but a life assignment that requires vision, patience, and unwavering commitment. Choosing a life partner is not about finding someone who makes your heart race, but someone who can walk with you through every season of life. It is about marrying a friend, a companion, a person of character who aligns with your values and destiny. Love may ignite the relationship, but purpose keeps it alive. The strength of a marriage is not measured by how passionately two people feel about each other in the moment, but by how well they can build, grow, and withstand life's challenges together. Do not marry just because of love. Marry because of purpose. Marry because of shared vision. Marry someone whose character you can trust, whose friendship you cherish, and whose presence strengthens your journey. Love will not always feel the same, but a strong foundation will keep you standing when emotions waver. Build your marriage on wisdom, not just feelings, and you will create something that lasts beyond the fleeting moments of passion. Choose wisely. Your destiny depends on it. Hello, everyone, and welcome back. I'm so grateful you have joined me today, and I can't wait to dive into something that has the power to change your life. There is something unstoppable about a woman who prays. When she bows her head, all of heaven stands at attention. When she lifts her voice, the forces of darkness tremble. When she declares the promises of God, chains break, mountains move, and miracles are set in motion. Because a praying woman is not just speaking words, she is summoning the armies of heaven. She is standing in the gap between the seen and the unseen, calling forth the power of God to invade the earth. Throughout history, God has fought for women who dared to pray. He fought for Hannah when she cried out for a son, and he gave her Samuel, a prophet who changed a nation. He fought for Esther when she fasted and prayed, and he turned the king's heart to save her people. He fought for the woman with the issue of blood who pressed through the crowd just to touch the hem of his garment, and he made her whole. The same God who answered them is the same God who fights for you today. A woman who prays is dangerous because she is not moved by what she sees. She is anchored in what God has spoken. She does not back down in the face of adversity because she knows the battle is not hers, it belongs to the Lord. She doesn't waste time complaining. She goes into the secret place and gets on her knees. She doesn't fight with weapons of the world. She fights with the word of God. And when she prays, heaven responds. The enemy is not afraid of a woman who talks, but he is terrified of a woman who prays, because a praying woman cannot be manipulated, intimidated, or silenced. She knows who she is. She knows who she is. And she knows that when she calls on the name of the Lord, strongholds come down. Generations are transformed. The impossible becomes possible. You may be facing battles that seem too big for you. You may feel overwhelmed, exhausted, or even forgotten. But I came to remind you today, God sees you, he hears you, he fights for you. Your prayers are not in vain. Every tear you've cried, every midnight prayer, every whispered plea, God has collected them all. He is moving even when you don't see it. He is shifting things in your favor even when you don't feel it. A woman who prays is never without protection, because prayer is the key that activates divine covering over her life. When she lifts her voice to God, she is not just speaking into the air. She is stepping into a realm where heaven moves on her behalf. Prayer is not just communication. It is an invitation for God to intervene. It creates a shield around her, a spiritual force field that no enemy can penetrate. From the beginning of time, God has placed a hedge of protection around those who seek him in prayer. When Daniel prayed, God sent an angel to shut the mouths of lions. When Elijah prayed, fire fell from heaven and consumed the enemy's plans. When a woman prays, she steps into that same divine protection where no weapon formed against her can prosper. She does not have to fear the arrows that fly by day or the terrors of the night, because the Lord himself becomes her refuge. There are battles she will never have to fight simply because she prayed. There are dangers she will never see because God already went ahead of her. There are accidents, betrayals, and attacks that were formed against her but never reached her because her prayers activated angelic intervention. The spiritual realm is real, and the forces of darkness are constantly looking for ways to attack, but they cannot touch a woman who is surrounded by the presence of God. When she prays, she releases the authority of heaven into her home, her children, and her future. Her prayers build a wall of fire around her family that the enemy cannot cross. She does not have to live in fear because her trust is in the one who never sleeps nor slumbers. While she rests, God watches. While she moves, God goes before her. While she waits, God is working behind the scenes. The enemy will try to attack her mind, her peace, and her destiny, but he will always fail because a praying woman is never alone. Her prayers are not just words, they are weapons, and her greatest defense is the God who fights for her. A faithful woman who prays is not just a believer. She is a warrior in the kingdom of God. She does not fight with physical weapons, but with the power of her words, the authority of her faith, and the strength of her unwavering trust in God. When she prays, she is not begging, she is declaring. She is not pleading, she is enforcing the will of God on earth as it is in heaven. She understands that prayer is not just a conversation, It is a battlefield where victories are won before they manifest in the natural. A woman who remains faithful in prayer does not run from challenges. She faces them with boldness because she knows who fights for her. She knows that the greatest battles are not fought with hands, but with knees bent before God. She may look ordinary to the world, but in the spiritual realm, she is clothed with the armor of God, wielding the sword of the Spirit and standing firm on the promises of the Most High. She does not allow fear, doubt, or circumstances to dictate her future because she understands that the battles she faces are not hers alone. God stands beside her, fighting for her. The enemy knows that a faithful woman who prays is unstoppable. He knows that she carries an anointing that breaks chains, a persistence that moves mountains, and a faith that cannot be shaken. That is why he tries to silence her, to discourage her, to make her believe that her prayers don't matter. But a true warrior does not retreat. She presses on, knowing that her prayers are shifting things in the spirit, opening doors no man can shut, and breaking generational curses that have tried to hold her family captive. She fights not only for herself, but for those connected to her, her children, her spouse, her community, and even those who do not know her name. Her prayers cover nations, protect the weak, and bring heaven's intervention where it is needed most. She does not fight alone, for every time she lifts her voice to heaven, angels are dispatched, strongholds are broken, and victories are secured. A woman who refuses to give up in prayer is a woman who moves the heart of God. Persistence in prayer is not about repeating empty words. It is about a faith so strong that it refuses to let go until heaven responds. When a woman prays with persistence, she is demonstrating her trust in God's timing, his faithfulness, and his ability to do what seems impossible. She is not discouraged by delays because she knows that God's silence is not his denial. She understands that every prayer she lifts is being stored up, and in due time, the answer will manifest. The Bible is filled with examples of women who refused to stop praying until they saw their breakthrough. Hannah wept before the Lord year after year, and in due time, God gave her Samuel, a prophet who shaped a nation. The persistent widow in Jesus' parable kept coming before the judge until he granted her justice, showing that even in the natural, persistence wins battles. A woman who continues in prayer despite obstacles, doubts, and opposition is a woman who refuses to accept defeat. She knows that God is not a man that he should lie, and if he has spoken a promise over her life, he will fulfill it. The enemy tries to discourage a praying woman by making her feel as though nothing is changing. He whispers that her prayers are ineffective, that her situation will never improve, that her struggles will never end. But a persistent woman knows better. She knows that every prayer is shifting things in the unseen realm. And even when she cannot see the evidence, she trusts that God is working behind the scenes. She understands that her prayers are planting seeds, and though the harvest may not come overnight, it is guaranteed to come. A woman who persists in prayer does not allow circumstances to dictate her faith. She stands firm like a tree planted by streams of water, unshaken by the winds of life. She may grow weary, but she does not give up. She may cry, but she keeps pressing in because she knows that the God who hears her will answer in his perfect time. And when he does, no force in heaven or earth can stop it. A woman who prays is not just speaking into the air. She is shaking the foundations of darkness with every word she utters. She is not merely expressing her emotions. She is engaging in spiritual warfare, pushing back the forces that seek to destroy her home, her family, and her destiny. The enemy does not fear a woman who complains, but he trembles before a woman who prays. She understands that her strength is not in her ability, but in her connection to the Almighty. When she prays, she does not fight alone. Heaven backs her, angels move at her command, and strongholds begin to crumble. Darkness thrives in places where prayer is absent, but a praying woman refuses to give it room. She covers her household in intercession, declaring God's protection over her children, her marriage, and her purpose. She speaks life where the enemy has tried to bring death, and she declares victory where the enemy has whispered defeat. She does not accept sickness, oppression, or confusion as her portion because she knows she has the authority to cast out every work of the enemy in the name of Jesus. The enemy's greatest fear is a woman who knows how to use prayer as a weapon. He will try to silence her with discouragement, exhaustion, and fear. He will attempt to distract her with busyness and make her feel that her prayers are ineffective. But a woman who understands the power of prayer refuses to be moved. She rises before the sun to intercede. She worships in the middle of her storms. She declares the promises of God even when everything around her says otherwise. She understands that when she prays, she is not just fighting for herself, but for generations to come. The presence of a praying woman shifts atmospheres. When she walks into a room, demons recognize the authority she carries. She is not just a wife, a mother, or a daughter. She is a spiritual warrior. And no matter how intense the battle becomes, she knows one thing for certain. Darkness can never prevail where the power of prayer is at work. A woman who prays is a woman who walks under an open heaven. Prayer is not just a ritual. It is a key that unlocks divine favor and supernatural breakthroughs. When a woman commits herself to prayer, she steps into a realm where impossibilities become possible, where barriers are removed, and where God's favor begins to manifest in ways she never imagined. Favor is not something she has to strive for. It is something that follows her because she has positioned herself in alignment with God's will. Throughout Scripture, we see how prayer brings divine favor into the lives of those who seek God. Esther, a woman of prayer and fasting, found favor before the king and saved an entire nation. Hannah, a woman who poured out her soul before God, received the breakthrough of a long-awaited son. The woman with the issue of blood pressed through the crowd, not with a spoken prayer, but with a desperate faith that touched Jesus, and she received immediate healing. These women did not rely on human connections, resources, or strategies. They sought God, and He released favor upon them that no man could deny. Divine favor means doors open that should have remained closed. It means opportunities appear where none existed before. It means battles are won without lifting a hand, and provision comes from unexpected places. A praying woman does not have to chase after success, promotions, or recognition. She seeks God, and He makes a way for her. People may try to block her. Systems may try to limit her. But nothing can stop the favor of God that is activated through her prayers. Breakthroughs happen when a woman refuses to quit in prayer. Delays do not discourage her, and obstacles do not shake her faith, because she understands that God is working even when she cannot see it. She knows that favor is not about luck. It is about divine positioning, and prayer places her exactly where she needs to be. Her prayers are not in vain, and in due time, what she has been believing for will come to pass. Not by her strength, but by the favor of the God who fights for her. A woman who prays is not just shaping her own life. She is laying the foundation for generations to come. Her prayers are not confined to the present moment. They travel beyond her lifetime, affecting her children, her grandchildren, and even those she will never meet. She understands that every time she intercedes, she is planting spiritual seeds that will bear fruit long after she is gone. Prayer is not just about immediate answers. It is about establishing a legacy of faith, protection, and divine favor that will outlive her. Throughout history, we see how the prayers of faithful women changed the course of generations. Hannah's prayers did not just bring her a son. They brought Israel a prophet who would anoint kings and lead a nation. Jochebed's faith-filled prayers over baby Moses ensured that he would not only survive Pharaoh's decree, but also grow up to deliver God's people from bondage. Timothy, a great man of faith in the New Testament, had a grandmother, Lois, and a mother, Eunice, whose prayers and teachings shaped him into a spiritual leader. A woman's prayers are never wasted. They create ripples that touch the lives of many, even beyond what she can see. When a woman prays over her children, she is covering them with divine protection, wisdom, and purpose. She does not wait until they face trouble. She prays in advance, preparing the way for them. Even if they stray, the prayers she has sown into their lives will always call them back. Her prayers break generational curses, reverse negative cycles, and establish blessings that will continue for years to come. She is not just praying for herself, she is fighting battles that future generations won't have to face. She is interceding for the salvation, success, and security of those who will come after her. What she builds in prayer today becomes the spiritual inheritance of her descendants. The impact of a praying woman does not end with her. It echoes through time, shaping destinies, securing victories, and ensuring that the legacy of faith remains strong in her family line. A woman's cry is never unheard in the presence of God. When she lifts her voice in prayer, whether in joy, pain, desperation, or faith, heaven listens. She does not have to fight for God's attention because he is already near to the brokenhearted and attentive to those who call upon him. Every tear she sheds in prayer is seen. Every word she whispers is recorded. And every petition she presents is acknowledged. God is not distant, indifferent, or too busy. He is the Father who bends down to listen when his daughter speaks. In Scripture, we see how God responds to the cries of women who seek him. Hagar, abandoned in the wilderness, lifted her voice in despair, and God met her there, providing water for her and her son. Hannah, weeping in the temple, poured out her soul before the Lord, and he not only gave her a son, but a prophet who would shape the course of Israel. The Canaanite woman who pleaded for her daughter's healing was met with Jesus' response, not because of status or tradition, but because of her unshakable faith. A woman's cry moves the heart of God because it is not just a sound. It is a declaration of trust in his power and faithfulness. Even in moments when she feels unheard, unseen, or forgotten, God is working behind the scenes. He does not ignore her pain, and he does not dismiss her petition. What seems like silence is often divine preparation. There are answers on the way, breakthroughs being arranged, and miracles being orchestrated. He collects every tear and turns them into testimonies. He transforms her sorrow into strength and her prayers into power. The enemy may try to convince her that her prayers are pointless, that nothing is changing, and that God is not listening. But a woman who knows God's character refuses to believe those lies. She understands that delay is not denial, and that every cry lifted in faith is met with divine response. She keeps praying, keeps believing, and keeps standing, knowing that the God who hears will always answer in his perfect time. A praying woman is unstoppable. She is not just speaking words. She is shifting atmospheres, tearing down strongholds, and calling forth the power of heaven. She understands that her strength is not in her circumstances, but in the God who fights for her. She does not retreat in fear because she knows that every battle she faces has already been won in the presence of God. Her prayers are not empty. They are weapons. Her faith is not weak. It is the foundation that generations will stand on. The enemy fears a woman who prays because she cannot be shaken. She knows that God hears her, that he sees her, and that he moves on her behalf. Even when the answers seem delayed, she does not give up because she trusts in the faithfulness of the one who never fails. She does not waste time complaining about the darkness. She lights it up with her prayers. She does not wait for change to come. She prays until the breakthrough arrives. No tear she sheds is wasted. No prayer she prays is ignored. No battle she faces is fought alone. Heaven stands behind her. Angels are dispatched because of her, and the enemy trembles at the sound of her voice. She is not just a woman, she is a warrior, a world changer, a history maker. And when she prays, God fights for her. Nothing can stop her. Nothing can break her. Nothing can silence her, because a praying woman always walks in victory.